Hey everyone, Active Tough Gaming here, and in today's video, I'm going to be ranking the top 10 best boss fights in The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Before I get into it, I just want to put a disclaimer out there that this is just my top 10 favorite fights in the game. I'm not claiming it this is the definitive list by any means, and your list is probably going to be a lot different than mine, and I think it's pretty cool. Let me know in the comments what your favorite boss fights were in The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. With all that out of the way, let's get right into it with number 10. Queen Gibdo. In my guide video, I said that this was the most annoying boss in the game, and I still stand by that, but I do actually appreciate the challenge that she provided. She teaches you not to be greedy. In Phase 1, she has a charge attack that she can bring out after the punish window that can do a ton of damage. She also has tornadoes that you have to dodge. And in Phase 2, you constantly have Gibdo spawning from the hives that you've got to take out, while at the same time dealing with the same attacks from Queen Gibdo's first phase. It can be a little overwhelming, and ultimately I put Queen Gibdo at number 10 because I actually had to plan out how I was going to beat her. Number 9. Colgera. I really enjoyed this one. I feel like he did a great job of setting the tone for what the temple bosses were going to be like. You know, they're a reward for getting through the temple, and the monster design is great. The environment is just too cool with being inside of a tornado, and then to top it off, the way that you damage Colgera is by diving down and dodging its scales that it's shooting up at you, and you go through its body. That was just an awesome way to be introduced to the temple bosses. Number 8. Battle Talus. Having the platform on top of the Talus was such a simple change from how they were in Breath of the Wild, but it was so fun trying to figure out how to get up there. I fought this boss on stream for the first time, and it was so cool just having people in the chat try to figure out how we can get on top of the boss and damage the rock that sits up top. And once we figured out how to get up there, it was just so satisfying. Such a fun fight. Number 7. Mukta Rock. I could totally understand how someone would not enjoy this fight because you're having to walk through all of that mud, and whenever you finally hit the little guy, he scurries away and you've got to go through the mud even more. And if you don't have a lot of the splash fruits, then it can be kind of difficult and annoying waiting for Sidon's ability to recharge. But I did have plenty of splash fruits, and honestly, I was laughing the entire time throughout the fight. It's just comical the way that he moves around after you hit him, and you've got to chase him down, and it's just frustrating enough to where you finally get him, you're like, yeah, I got you, you little jerk, and you just pummel him. Number 6. Lynels. There are very few enemies in this game that when you approach them, you get the genuine feeling like they are not afraid of you. It's kind of terrifying encountering a Lynel, even though the fight can be broken down into just, hey, dodge his attack, get your flurry rush, do damage, and repeat until it's over. But still, I get that same feeling of dread every time that question mark comes up above their head. And I think that dread comes from the fact that they do so much damage, and it provides a good challenge in this game. If you miss one dodge, the fight can potentially be over. Number 5. Master Koga. Similar to Mukta Rock, Master Koga is a comical character, and it's even more so because he's this evil leader, but he's just silly. And in these fights, there are these genius mechanics where he's moving around on these vehicles that he's constructed, and you have to find different ways to damage him, and they always start off pretty easy, but then he gets like these shields around him, and you even have to sometimes use your Zonai devices to where you build something to where you can get up to damage him. These fights combine my favorite things about the Battle Talus and Mukta Rock fights, which is why I have it so high on this list. Number 4. Phantom Ganon. Remember that feeling of dread I talked about with the Lynels? This is cranked up to like an 11 with the Phantom Ganon fight in Hyrule Castle. The reason that I have this fight so high on the list is because for a split second, when all of the Phantom Ganons filled the room, I questioned, how in the world am I going to overcome this? Is Ganon too powerful? Which is a crazy thing because everybody knows that you're going to beat Ganondorf at the end of a Zelda game. But this moment caused me to doubt it, even if it was just for a split second. Now, I don't want to downplay the fight because it's really good too, but you just don't get to experience too many moments like that in gaming. Number 3. Marbled Goma. I don't know about y'all, but I hated the Fire Temple in this game. I thought it was one of the worst dungeons in any Zelda game, and so I was pleasantly surprised when I got this awesome boss fight as a reward. I didn't like Yunobo as a character, but I did enjoy exploding things by rolling him at them. I also thought Marbled Goma's design was great because it's towering above you. It feels like this intimidating force. I also thought it was cool that you can take out Goma's legs to get on top of it, or you can use recall on the boulders that it throws at you, climb on board, and get up that way too. I acknowledge I might be overrating this fight a little bit because of how fatigued I was of the Fire Temple, but even when I encountered it in the depths again, I had so much fun. Number 2. Gleeoks. If you don't think about preparation, you're going to get absolutely destroyed by these dragons, as I did many times over. Now, the cool thing is there are a lot of ways that you can approach this fight and have success. My favorite strategy involved using a Lynel bow and Keese eyeballs to get the constant headshots, but I've seen some people use some creative stuff like attaching a rocket to a shield and using the time slowdown that you get from being in the air. Each elemental Gleeok had just enough differences in their fight to make them feel fresh and exciting each time you encountered them, and in particular, I really enjoyed how you had to figure out how you were going to get in the air in the final phase to take out the heads one last time. The design of each of the 3 monsters and King Gleeok were top-notch, and I think all of these combined to make these bosses my second favorite in the game. Number 1. Demon King Ganondorf. This isn't just my favorite boss fight in Tears of the Kingdom, it's one of my favorite fights in any Zelda game, period. His first phase is 1v1 and pretty similar to a Lynel fight, but in phase 2, he gets a comically large health bar and he spawns like 10 other Ganondorfs in the room with you. Phase 3 is where he gets pretty nuts. He bombards you with Gloom Flame attacks, and he can dodge your Flurry Rush attacks. Now, finishing this portion of the fight would be an epic conclusion on its own. The arena located below Hyrule, Ganondorf's design, and the challenging combat is just fantastic. But once you beat him, he transforms into Demon Dragon, and the finale is just beautiful. I actually got a little emotional at the end, and that's one of the many reasons why this is my favorite fight in The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. Now, all of that was just my opinion, and I'd love to hear from you all in the comments. What were your favorite bosses in The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom? Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day.